The Wonderful Wizard of Oz. Chapter 15. The Discovery of Oz, the Terrible. Part 2. He led them to a small room behind the throne room, and they all followed him. He pointed to a corner where a large head lay. It was made of many layers of paper, with a face carefully painted on it. "I hung this from the ceiling with a wire," said Oz. "I stood behind the screen and pulled a string to make the eyes move and the mouth open." "But what about the voice?" Dorothy asked. "Oh, I'm a ventriloquist," said the little man. "I can make my voice sound as if it's coming from somewhere else. That's why you thought it came from the head. Now look at the other things I used to trick you." He showed the Scarecrow the dress and mask he had worn when he looked like the lovely lady. The Tin Woodman saw that the terrible beast was only many animal skins sewn together. There were wooden slats inside to hold the shape. The ball of fire was also fake. The false wizard had hung it from the ceiling. It was just a ball of cotton, but when he poured oil on it, it burned very brightly.
"I've been acting here all this time."
"You should be ashamed of yourself for being such a fake," said the Scarecrow. "I am, truly I am," said the little man sadly. "But it was the only thing I could do. Please sit down. There are plenty of chairs. I'll tell you my story." So they all sat down and listened as he began to speak. "I was born in Omaha," said the little man. "Why, that's not very far from Kansas," cried Dorothy. "No, but it's much farther from here," he said, shaking his head sadly. "When I grew up, I became a ventriloquist and was well trained by a great teacher. I can copy the sounds of any bird or animal." Then he meowed so much like a kitten that Toto lifted his ears and looked around to find it. After some time, Oz went on. "I grew tired of that work and became a balloonist." "What's that?" asked Dorothy. "A man who goes up in a balloon on circus day to get people to come and watch the show," he explained. "Oh," said Dorothy. "I know what that is." Well, one day I went up in my balloon, but the ropes got twisted, and I couldn't come down. The balloon rose high above the clouds, and a strong wind carried it far away. I traveled through the air for a whole day and night. When I woke up the next morning, I saw the balloon floating over a strange and beautiful land. The balloon came down slowly, and I wasn't hurt at all. But I landed among very strange people. When they saw me coming from the sky, they thought I was a great wizard. Of course, I let them believe it, because they were afraid of me and promised to do whatever I asked. To keep myself entertained and give the people something to do, I told them to build this city and my palace. They did it gladly and did a fine job. Then I decided to call it the Emerald City, because the land was so green and pretty. To make the name fit, I made everyone wear green glasses, so everything they saw looked green. "But isn't everything really green?" asked Dorothy. "It's no greener than any other city," said Oz. "But when everyone wears green glasses, of course everything looks green. The Emerald City was built many years ago. I was a young man when my balloon brought me here, and now I'm very old. The people have worn green glasses for so long that they truly believe this is an emerald city. It's a very beautiful place, full of jewels, precious metals, and everything needed to be happy. I've been kind to the people, and they like me. But since the palace was built, I've stayed inside and haven't allowed anyone to see me. One of the things I feared most was the witches. I had no magic powers at all, but I soon learned that the witches really could do amazing things. There were 4 of them in this land, ruling the people of the north, south, east, and west. Luckily, the witches of the north and south were good, so I knew they wouldn't hurt me. But the witches of the east and west were very wicked. If they hadn't believed I was stronger than they were, they would have destroyed me. So for many years, I lived in great fear of the witches. You can imagine how happy I was when I heard that your house had fallen on the wicked witch of the east. When you came to me, I was ready to promise anything if you would get rid of the other witch. But now that you have melted her, I'm sorry to say I can't keep my promises.
I'm sorry, my dear.
I think you're a very bad man, said Dorothy. Oh no, my dear, said Oz. I'm really a good man, but I must admit I'm a very bad wizard. Can't you give me brains? Asked the Scarecrow. You don't need them, said Oz. You're learning something every day. A baby has a brain but knows very little. Only experience can bring knowledge, and the longer you live, the more you will learn. That may be true, said the Scarecrow, but I'll still be unhappy unless you give me brains. The false wizard looked at the Scarecrow closely. Well, he said with a sigh, I'm not a real magician, as I told you. But if you come to me tomorrow morning, I'll fill your head with brains. I can't tell you how to use them. You'll have to learn that on your own. Oh, thank you, cried the Scarecrow. Don't worry, I'll find a way to use them. But what about my courage? Asked the Lion nervously. You already have plenty of courage, said Oz. You just need to believe in yourself. Every living thing feels afraid when it faces danger. True courage means going forward even when you're scared, and you already have that kind of courage. Maybe so, said the Lion, but I still feel afraid. I'll be unhappy unless you give me the kind of courage that makes me forget my fear. All right, said Oz. I'll give you that kind of courage tomorrow.
You have my word.
What about my heart? Asked the Tin Woodman. Well, said Oz, I think you're wrong to want one. Having a heart makes most people unhappy. You should feel lucky not to have one. That's just your opinion, said the Tin Woodman. For me, I'm willing to face all the sadness, if only you'll give me a heart. Very well, said Oz quietly. Come to me tomorrow, and you shall have a heart. I've been pretending to be a wizard for so many years. I might as well keep pretending for a little longer. And now, said Dorothy, how can I get back to Kansas? We'll have to think about that, said the little man. Give me 2 or 3 days to find a way to carry you across the desert. Until then, you will all stay here as my guests. While you live in the palace, My people will serve you and do whatever you ask. I only ask one thing in return for my help. You must keep my secret and tell no one that I am a fake."
Shh!
They promised not to tell anyone what they had discovered and went back to their rooms feeling happy. Even Dorothy felt hopeful that the great and terrible humbug, as she now called him, would find a way to send her back to Kansas. If he did, she would gladly forgive him for everything.
If he keeps his promise, I can forgive him.